Last night, the absolute mother of all Destiny 2 leaks occurred. Apparently, someone got their hands on a guidebook for Destiny 2, and they put all of that information basically out for the world to see. So consider this your spoiler warning. This video is going to be talking about some of the returning subclasses for Destiny 2 that we learned about. If you don't want to be spoiled on the contents of those subclasses, tune out of this video right now. That's your fair warning. But anyways, extreme spoilers lie ahead, so let's go ahead and get into it. This guidebook confirms the return of Taken King subclasses, and over the course of this video, we're going to be going through what those subclasses are, what their paths are, and what the abilities tied to the different tree paths are going to be. And first things first, it confirms previous reports that those Taken King subclasses, the Night Stalker for Hunters, the Sunbreaker for Titans, and of course the Stormcaller for Warlocks are going to be returning with Destiny 2. And additionally, the article also confirms that you will indeed be unlocking these subclasses after you've completed the required artifact and completed a resulting mission. We spoke about that in a previous video. When you're out in patrol, you'll sometimes find artifacts that are linked to your class's third subclass. When you pick that up, you'll have a sort of quest or mission tied to it. When you complete that mission, usually by going out and completing activities within patrol zones, you'll re-unlock that third subclass. So let's go ahead and dive on into some of these tree paths and abilities. First up, we've got the returning Void Night Stalker class for Hunters, and its upper path is called the Way of the Trapper. The Way of the Trapper comes with the Snare Bomb ability, which transforms your melee charge into a smoke bomb trap that you can toss from a distance. The smoke bomb will stick to surfaces and detonate when enemies are near, slowing and disorienting them. Performing overall very similar to the way the smoke bomb works in Destiny 1. After that, we've got Keen Scout, where you can sprint and sneak faster and gain an enhanced tracker. Tethered enemies will also be marked for easy tracking, which is again very similar to the tracking ability that Night Stalkers had in Destiny 1. After that, we've got Deadfall, where the Void Anchors fired from Shadow Shot become traps and wait for prey. Void Anchors will have increased range and last much longer. Finally, we've got Vanishing Step, where dodging will make you vanish from sight for a short time. That's actually kind of interesting because the question of whether or not invisibility would be returning as a class perk in Destiny 2 was kind of up in the air. And this answers it by saying that they're going to be tying that invisibility to your dodge ability on the Hunter. After that, for Night Stalkers, we've got the Way of the Pathfinder. And it's described like this. The Way of the Pathfinder offers plenty of utility, but includes a much greater focus on damage, particularly in the damage done by the super ability. With Mobius Quiver, the Night Stalker can fire Shadow Shot multiple times per use, dealing massive damage to tethered enemies. Now let's go over its abilities. First up, we've got Vanish in Smoke, where you can throw a smoke bomb explosion from a distance with this melee ability. The smoke bomb itself will create a cloud that makes you and nearby allies invisible, which is again an ability that we're very familiar with from Destiny 1. After that, we've got Lockdown, where grenade and smoke effects will last twice as long, allowing for strong territorial control and increased damage potential. Then, we've got Heart of the Pack, where killing tethered enemies creates orbs of light and increases mobility, recovery, and resilience for you and nearby allies. There's going to be a lot of support utility for that. Finally, of course, again, we've got the Mobius Quiver, which allows you to fire Shadow Shot multiple times in rapid succession. Shadow Shot will deal massive damage against tethered enemies. And that is it for the two paths that we're aware of from the Night Stalker Hunter. It's good to see that class returning, and for everyone who is concerned about whether or not Hunters had any sort of support utility in Destiny 2, it looks like the Night Stalker is definitely going to have some perks there, especially in the Way of the Pathfinder, that are going to be very good for team comp. But alright, let's move on to the Warlocks. Of course, the Stormcaller class is returning to Warlocks, and the upper path for them is called the Attunement of Ions. Their first ability is called Chain Lightning, where they can deliver an electrocuting arc melee strike at extended range that chains from the struck target to another enemy nearby. Now, as a Warlock main, that already kind of makes me happy because they're talking a bit about extending your melee range, which is of course something we're familiar with between the Stormcaller melee and perks like Amplitude in Destiny 1, so no real surprise there. After that, Transcendence is making a return. When cast with full grenade and melee energy, your Storm Trance will last longer and fully restores your health. Again, no surprise there, Arc Web is also going to be returning, where enemies damaged by your grenade will chain deadly lightning to nearby enemies. And finally, the Ionic Blink makes its triumphant return as part of the Attunement of Ions, where pressing the sprint button during Storm Trance will cause you to teleport. After that, we've got the lower path called the Attunement of the Elements, and its first ability is called Gale Force. This electrocuting melee ability hits at extended range and recharges your super, grenade, and melee energy, meaning you've still got that extended melee range, and it's going to charge your cooldowns faster when you land hits. Next up, Landfall is making a return. On casting Storm Trance, fire a bolt of lightning into the ground and create a devastating shockwave underneath you. Then we've got Rising Storm, where your Rift charges faster when allies are nearby, which is kind of replacing the electrostatic mind from Destiny 1, where if you remember, if you're standing near your teammates, your super will charge faster. And finally, Arc Soul. Your Rift now grants you and an ally who use it an Arc Soul to aid you in battle. Now this sounds really cool. We have no idea what an Arc Soul is, but tying it to your Rift ability and granting it to any allies who are standing in it, I don't know, that sounds kind of cool to me. Moving on from there, we of course have the Sunbreaker Titans returning. Their upper path is called the Code of the Forged Fire. Their abilities go out like this. First up, we've got Hammer Strike, where while sprinting, you can use this melee ability to unleash a blazing hammer strike that weakens enemies. Sounds kind of similar to the current Shoulder Charge ability. After that, Tempered Metal, where solar ability kills grant you and nearby allies bonus movement and reload speed. Then we've got Battle Forge, where enemies killed by Hammer of Sol will explode. And finally, we've got Vulcan's Rage, where hammers will shatter into explosive molten embers on impact. And if I had to read into that a little bit, it kind of sounds a bit like the Sunspot ability, where you can just drop pools of fire wherever your hammers lead. After that, we've got the Code of the Siegebreaker. Its first ability is called Mortar Blast, where you can strike an enemy with a melee ability that releases a solar explosion setting nearby enemies on fire. Then we've got Sun Warrior, where solar ability kills will restore your health, while your grenade and melee ability kills will leave a deadly sunspot in their wake. Then we've got Rings of Fire. While standing in a sunspot, your solar abilities recharge faster and your super lasts longer. And finally, we've got Solar Siege. Hammers will create a sunspot upon impact, and while standing in sunspots, you can throw hammers even faster. Which is interesting, they're kind of taking the Sunspot build from Destiny 1 and building an entire path out of it, really incentivizing you to use your abilities, pop a Sunspot, stay in it, get your abilities back faster, and throw hammers faster. Overall, just turning your Titan into a turret. And I gotta admit, that could be rather interesting if you mix it up with some of the team abilities that are available in Destiny 2. Maybe you have a Warlock drop his empowering or his healing rift there so that you can keep your health up. And then you just sit there and blast away with hammers, getting your cooldowns back even faster. Sounds really cool to me. But alright Guardians, that's it for this quick look at some of the returning subclasses in Destiny 2. Again, we had a lot of information leak last night, and we just wanted to go through all of the different subclass paths as well as the abilities that were tied to them. Be sure to let us know what you Guardians think down in the comment section below. Are you psyched to see some of these subclasses returning? Were you hoping for something completely new? Be sure to let us know. And make sure you stay tuned to Planet Destiny. We'll be covering a lot of the information that got leaked last night. So if you do want those spoilers, make sure you're watching PD. But alright, I'm out for now. Thanks so much for watching Planet Destiny. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.